Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Anthony Robbins, the well-known motivational speaker, once said, "The way we communicate with others and with ourselves ultimately determines the quality of our lives." Think about the people who have had the biggest impact in your life. Do you feel they changed your life because of the things that they gave you? Or did their impact on your life come from the words that they spoke to you? Words of encouragement, words of guidance, words of comfort at an important moment in your life. We all have the ability to heal, to inspire, to encourage, and to positively affect people's lives by simply using the power of our words. The Hebrew expression, Yirat Shamayim, the fear of heaven, often makes us think of someone trembling in fright, terrified, perhaps, that God will punish us. In fact, the Hebrew term that is often used to describe the super-Orthodox Jews is charedim, which literally means tremblers. And one reason given for describing them as such is that they are trembling before God. By the way, there's two small Christian denominations that have essentially the same name, Shakers and Quakers. But I think that the Hebrew term yirah could be better translated in this case as awestruck, because that is the feeling that I have when I contemplate the maker of heaven and earth, when I envision the grandeur and majesty of the universe, particularly as science has now allowed us to see it, with all its complexity, its enormity, and its intricate structures. When I imagine such a glorious cosmos, I cannot help but be awestruck by the force that created it all. And when I realize that I am somehow in the presence of that great force, I feel commanded to behave myself in a way that would be worthy of having been created by such a being. Unfortunately, I don't always have that feeling, not as often as I like, but when I do have that feeling, it enables me to feel responsible for being good. But however you might want to understand the expression Yirat Shamayim, in the Bible, this concept is nearly always associated with being a good person. When the Bible says that someone fears Adonai, it always means that person is righteous and compassionate. And by contrast, someone who does not fear Adonai or who does not know God's name is cruel, merciless, violent, arrogant, and evil. For example, the psalmist says, "Come, my children, and listen to me. I will teach you what it is to fear Adonai. Mi ha'esh ha'chafetz chaim, who is the one who desires life? Ohev yamim liro tov, the one who loves to see goodness all his days." And the psalmist answers the question by describing what kind of person fears Adonai. "Guard your tongue from evil and your lips from speaking guile. Turn from evil and do good. Seek peace and pursue it." From this passage in the Psalms, Rabbi Yisrael Meir Kagan named a book he had written on the laws of Lashon HaRa, the evil tongue, otherwise known as the laws of gossip and slander. Rabbi Kagan's book was called Chafetz Chaim, the one who desires life, a phrase taken from this psalm. And in typical Jewish fashion, this is how it works in the Jewish world, Rabbi Kagan became known by the name of his first important Jewish book. His nickname, and the name he is most commonly known by, is the Chafetz Chaim. He lived in the end of the 19th, beginning of the 20th century in what is now Belarus, and he is known as a very pious man. And his book about Lashon HaRa would make any one of us turn pale by all the restrictions and prohibitions that it contains. Most people would find it very difficult to have a conversation with a friend if they followed very strictly all of the rules in his book. As Hudson has already mentioned in his Devar Torah, our sages believe that the skin disease tzara'at that is described in the Torah portion this morning was inflicted as a punishment for someone who spoke Lashon HaRa. We now know, of course, that skin diseases are biological and can often be treated with proper medications. But as Hudson also said, there is a similarity in the way gossip and rumors spread so quickly and easily, just like this biblical skin disease seems to have done. In any case, Rabbi Jonathan Sacks, the chief rabbi of England, took a very different direction in his commentary on the Torah portion. Instead of focusing on Lashon HaRa, the evil speech, he suggested that there must also be an opposite concept of Lashon HaTov, good speech. And he concluded that Lashon HaTov is one of the most important tasks of a leader or a parent or a friend. Lashon HaTov is focused praise. And he learned this concept of Lashon HaTov, focused praise, from a passage in Pirkei Avot that describes the 5 disciples of a sage named Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. All rabbis in those days had disciples. That was the style of transmitting the tradition from one generation to the next. But Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai described each of his disciples according to their own specific talents. Thus, Eliezer ben Hyrcanus, he said, was a plastered cistern that never lost a drop. That is, he had a perfect memory. He had a photographic memory. With respect to his student, Rabbi Yeshua ben Hananiah, he said, happy is the one who gave him birth. That is, his mother shept nachas from him. Yossi the priest was a pious man. Shimon ben Netanel was a man who feared sin. And Elazar ben Arach was an ever-flowing spring. That is, he was innovative, resourceful, and productive. What the Mishnah is telling us, Rabbi Sacks explained, is how to create disciples. It is easy to have students who are uncritical devotees, but who never become creative intellects in their own right. It is not difficult to create followers. It is far harder to create leaders. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was a great teacher because 5 of his students became giants in their own right. And the Mishnah is telling us how he did it. He did it by focused praise. He showed each of his pupils where their particular strength lay. Rabbi Sacks then described an experience he had learning from a speech therapist named Lena Rustin. Lena specialized in helping children who stuttered. Her method was to change the entire family dynamic, to encourage an atmosphere at home where everyone felt secure and self-confident, where no one's self-esteem was at risk. How do you create such an atmosphere in a family? The answer Lena discovered was praise. She told the families with which she was working that every day, each family member had to find something that another family member was doing right, and then to say so specifically, positively, and thankfully. She was creating within each home an atmosphere of mutual regard and continuous positive reinforcement. She wanted the parents to shape an environment of self-respect and self-confidence, not just for the stammering child, but for every member of the family, so the entire atmosphere in the home was one in which people felt safe to change and to help others to do so as well. And Rabbi Sacks realized that this same principle could be applied in all our human relationships. Praise gives people the confidence to let go of the negative aspects of their character and reach their full potential. There is in praise a deep spiritual message. We think religion is about faith in God, but Rabbi Sacks explained what I had not fully understood before was that faith in God should lead us to have faith in people. For God's image is in each one of us, and we have to learn how to discern it. I then understood, he said, that the repeated phrase in Genesis chapter 1, and God saw that it was good, was there to teach us to see the good in people and events, and by doing so, to help strengthen it. The words we use in all our conversations can cause others harm, embarrassment, or worse. That is Lashon HaRa, the evil tongue. but our words can also be used to bring comfort, to give self-confidence and encouragement, to heal a wounded heart, and to inspire a soul. They can make someone's day or even change their lives. That is Lashon HaTov, focused praise that is specific, positive, and appreciative. If we all decide to speak Lashon HaTov and to avoid Lashon HaRa as much as possible, we can literally transform our own lives and the lives of our families, and we can enrich and deepen the character of our community as well. Anthony Robbins was right when he said, the way we communicate with others and with ourselves ultimately determines the quality of our lives. Shabbat Shalom.